Hey guys, what's up? This is my review for Fear the Walking Dead, episode 405, titled Laura. This episode is pretty straightforward for the most part. A little slow, but nothing we can't handle after being Walking Dead fans. So, like any review, I just want to talk about some of the scenes in this episode. First thing I want to say is that I really do not believe that Naomi's dead. There's no way. Like, why would you build up this entire relationship just to kill her off? It could be for John's story arc. I think that they worked good together, so I'm interested to see what happens with the relationship. And hopefully we'll be able to see it in present day. So the episode starts with John cleaning his guns, which he loves very much. And he's living his lonely cabin life all by himself. Poor John. He's playing Scrabble with himself. That explains the whole platypus thing, which was hilarious in the first episode of the season. And I still don't understand why he carries those candies around constantly. I don't think they ever explained that, but I know that Garrett, the actor, mentioned that we would get an explanation for that, so I'm waiting for that because I don't understand. Moving on. Naomi ends up washing up on a canoe outside of John's little cabin. Later on, she tries to take the truck, and it's dead, which also happened when she was with Alicia, which is her luck. It's just a reoccurring theme in her life, is dead batteries. John gives her the name Laura, which I do not understand. Like, is this man okay? What I want... He's so intriguing. He's so strange. Bro, just ask her name. I thought that she may have been lying about her name to the group when he said Laura, but I'm happy to know that she's not a liar, so I actually trust her. So Naomi and John are at the cabin, and the walker population outside starts to become more frequent, so they decide to go out and find what the heck is going on. And then John ends up telling Naomi that he was a cop, which is a little surprising to me for some reason. He doesn't really strike me as a police officer. And just to add on to John's strangeness, he signed up for movie rentals at the gas station. So his biggest concern is probably returning the movies on time. He also says that Tuesdays are movie nights, and shout out to the main show. Forget Herschel's Spaghetti Tuesdays. What's up with Tuesdays? The writers are like, wow, we hate every other day of the week besides Tuesday. So during their little canoe trip, I got Major, Andrea, and Amy vibes. I don't know what it was. Rip Andrea, rip Amy. And moving on, everybody keeps questioning how Naomi learned so much about cars, and that's making me really curious. Like, I don't know why they keep bringing it up, because it doesn't seem like something that's such a big deal, but they mentioned it twice now. And then when John asks her, she mentions that a woman taught her, but that's all we know. I don't know if it has any significance. It's kind of driving me crazy. So her and John move a jeep into the place in the bridge where the walkers were falling over into the water and then going to John's cabin. John nearly gets macheted through a walker's body. And then Naomi got really mad because she was yelling at him like, use your freaking gun, and he wouldn't. And then he went crazy berserk on this walker after he killed it. He stabbed it like 8 times and it was intense. And then John tells Naomi that he shot somebody in the leg as a police officer during a robbery, and then that dude bled out, which explains why John doesn't like to use his guns. He's scared he's gonna make the same mistake again. Or not mistake necessarily, but the same thing will happen again, and that's why John doesn't use his guns very often. He makes it a point to clean them very often, but he doesn't normally use them. Naomi can relate to this because she's lost patience, we can assume, and then she talks about how people always say it's not your fault. They relate on that level. Next up, a herd comes in the middle of the night. Last week we talked about the shovel scene where I saw it in the trailer for the season, and I thought that maybe it was from present day Naomi, thinking that that was a little clue that she was alive, but it ended up being from this scene where she's killing walkers with a shovel. It makes sense that they wouldn't give away her fate in a trailer like that. I think that they're smarter than that, but it was worth a shot. And then Naomi gets surrounded and John saves her. It's a nice full circle where he was scared to use his guns. And then Naomi talked to him, and now he's saving her life with them. It's a pretty romantic move, John. Way to go. Then he confesses his love for her, and Naomi takes off in the morning and leaves. But she left a little note for him in Scrabble letters saying, I love you too. 10 out of 10 romantic. And John saved the pieces that she wrote that with, which is also 10 out of 10 romantic. Their ship name is Jaomi. Unless she's dead, then that's a problem. And honestly, I don't know what else to say about this episode. Like, just running over the main parts is all I can think to do, because it doesn't really have that much of connection into the present, besides John and his guns, and the fact that we're still kind of wondering if Naomi is alive, and how John reacts to the news that she's dead. So I guess it makes sense. This episode was necessary. Now that that's out of the way, we can move on and we understand their relationship, and it'll be interesting to see what happens moving forward. And moving on to next week's episode, 406, titled Just in Case. So breaking down the trailer for 406, John and Morgan run into two vultures, and it seems like they're the only two remaining vultures in the group because John grabs the note from them, map, instructions, whatever, and it lists 6 members in group B, and 4 of them are crossed off. They ran into the 2 that were still alive. So out of those 6 members, 4 of them, assuming the cross off means dead, 4 of them were killed, and then there was 2 left in group B. I can't imagine him killing them. He's not a killer, for sure. But now that he thinks Naomi's dead, anything could happen. I don't think he's gonna go berserk, though. But group B indicates that there's definitely more than one group of vultures, which is a concern because you have our core group going after the group of vultures, but there's multiple. I'm not sure if they're going to break it down this deep, but it would be interesting if Madison and Naomi were with Mel in group A, because The Walking Dead love to use the letter A. A little nod to the main show. In the preview, Naomi goes to a FEMA checkpoint alone, or looks like she's alone, and during the sneak peek for the episode, Naomi's trying to get out of the diamond and she gets stopped. Madison basically says nobody leaves alone. So it sounds like Madison would go with her, but in the preview it looked like Naomi was for sure alone. I'm not sure how she escaped, but she's pretty smart, so I think she can probably leave Madison's grasp pretty quick. And in some photos for the next episode, we see that Alicia has a little wound that Naomi is fixing. It's 2 little dots, so I'm like 100% sure she got bit by a snake. I kind of love the idea of that because it's something so simplistic that they don't really have to think about necessarily, or they don't think about because they're so worried about everything else that's going on. It's realistic, like that's something that you would run into out there. So yeah guys, that wraps up the review for season 4, episode 5, titled Laura. But I didn't really have much to say about it, honestly. But next week, we're covering 406, just in case. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week. Thanks.